Hello, it is Jack Gill and welcome to Redmen Academy. Today we're going to do a bit of a season loan watch so far. We don't know what's going on with the season yet. It might be voided, but we're taking a look into the players that have been sent out on loan by LFC and see how they've been doing so far. So first, we're going to look at Marko Grujic. Obviously, before he went out on loan, James, um, we were told that next season he's going to be a part of Klopp's first team plans, weren't we? But he's had a
Yeah,
good season so far, hasn't he? But saying that, he seems to be a good player in a club that's really struggling in Hertha Berlin, isn't he?
yeah, he's shining through, even though they've got obviously off the field issues as well as some on the field problems as well. Like he's putting up good stats. They've got 2.3 tackles and interceptions per 90, which is pretty respectable for a box to box midfielder. Plus, obviously, he's got the 1.6 dribbles too, which he's showing he's making those sort of progressive runs from deep and he's carrying the ball, which we know that he can do anyway. He is that kind of player, isn't he? Who's gonna pick the ball up and just run with it and go into that space that should be in front of him. But then his key passes are down at 0.4 per 90, which sort of shows that he's not really sort of replicating that form from last season, is he? Where he was getting goals and he was sort of getting more assists. He's only got one assist this season in the Bundesliga. But that could obviously be down to team problems too, because they have been struggling. They lost some players over the summer.
Yeah, I feel for Marko Grujic because I think he's been unfortunate this season. Obviously, they're on their third manager. They're not having the best season at all. There was all that issue with Klinsmann took over, and then of course they didn't want he didn't want to carry on there. He had some issues, I believe, with his coaching license at some point as well. So it was a bit of an issue for Marko Grujic this season. I haven't watched too much of him, but I've been told he's been doing well.
Yeah,
Um, Obviously, what's been difficult is obviously Pedro Chirivella, when being asked upon this season, has also shone and also done well. But apparently now he's going to be released on a free transfer in the summer. There's loads of rumours around. We'll talk about that in the next few days. But yeah, I think to be honest, Marko Grujic is a player that is probably a bit too far off our first team right now. I think he's nowhere near Fabinho's level. He's nowhere near Henderson's level when it comes to six. But saying that, we haven't seen too much of him. Obviously, he's played in the Bundesliga and he's getting regular game time there. But the Bundesliga and the Premier League are two complete different kettles of fish. So it'll be interesting to see what does happen with Marko Grujic next season. Maybe the whole idea of him staying and being part of the first team is a bit of a smokescreen. So if we do get offers in the summer, they'll have to be high offers for us to listen.
He's valued at about 15 million, isn't he? Approximately, sort of what I've seen online. I think he'll go for probably about 20, 25. Hoffenheim would be after probably midfielder, won't they, too? They've got many recently, too, with their problem with their owners. He seems to be splashing the cash a little bit. So I can see him probably making a move over there.
Well, the thing is, it's impressive in the Bundesliga. There'll be many Bundesliga teams after him. He's had 2 years of experience now in that league. He's been a shining player for Hertha Berlin. I believe he's one of their standout players. So it'll be interesting. But it's good to know as well that he's getting more discipline to his game. The sort of stuff that Jurgen Klopp wanted him to improve does seem to be improving.
Yeah, of course. And then we've got Shea Ojo as well, who is probably not going to come back. Probably the same as Grujic. He's probably end up staying where he's doing quite well in Scotland. He's got 5 goals, 7 assists in 36 games, which is pretty good, for a young player. I think he's 22 years old now, isn't he? 21, 22. But I can't see him having a future back at the club. He's probably past that point where he was going to make an impact. We saw a few years ago, didn't we, where he did sort of look like he was going to come into the team, and then, what do you think of him?
I think the thing for me with Shea Ojo, I think Steven Gerrard was desperate to get him, obviously, in the summer. I think he was one of Gerrard's first signings of the summer. Obviously, Gerrard's worked with him in the past. It's like you say, he's just not good enough right now. There was a couple of years ago when he was probably reaching the level where if he was going to make it, he'd push through then. But he didn't quite do it. And since then, he's struggled to get anywhere near our first team. And if you look at the players in our first team right now and players that we're being linked with, Shea Ojo is quite a way off. But saying that, I think, as you say, Rangers is probably the perfect place for him. I think he obviously knows Steven Gerrard well. He's worked with Gerrard before. and he's worked with him this season, and he seems to be a good player in the Scottish leagues.
It's hard to judge him because there obviously
Yeah.
are no proper stats on the Scottish Premier League, which makes our job a lot harder. But I know in the Europa League he's got 0.2 key passes per 90, and only 0.8 dribbles, which I know it's only 3 games that he's played, and I think got 1 sub-assist, sub appearance too. But those stats are way, way, way too low for someone who we'd be expecting to sort of, potentially play at sort of 30 appearances over the course of a Premier League season. It's just not going to happen, is it?
The thing is, as well, obviously Rangers have played a lot of football this season.
Yeah.
From what I've seen of Ojo, he went on a brilliant run at the start of his Rangers career, and then he sort of petered off a bit, and he seems to be in and out of form.
Yeah.
Not really a consistency, a level of consistency with him. So it's interesting with Shea Ojo. Obviously, they acquired Ryan Kent as well. So Gerard was our previous youth boys, as you'd expect. But it's one of them situations, like you say. I don't see Shea Ojo playing for Liverpool first team, but he is doing well. Or he is doing all right in Scotland. So that's good to see. And you also picked Nat Stewart out to have a look at, didn't you?
Yeah, so I've got Nat Phillips here. He's only obviously appeared 17 times in all competitions because he's probably their third choice, isn't he? When all their centre backs are fit, he's just behind some former internationals, so it's not going to be easy for him. But I think him going there probably would have made him up his game. So he has to show that he's better or can be better than these players who have played for the national team, and that's no easy ask, is it? Especially in a physical league like him, where he's not got much senior football and just really he's not really played consistently before the season, has he? But he's still winning 4.8 aerial duels per 90 and 2.5 tackles and interceptions too. So he's putting up good numbers when he's playing. It's just he's not getting that much game time.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Stuart. I think I was thinking of yesterday's video, but yeah, Nat Phillips. I feel sorry for Nat Phillips in a sense. Obviously, last season, last pre-season, not this year, but the year before. Obviously, he looked good, looked very good. But there was that issue, obviously, where we had the centre back crisis, and he was injured at the same time, which meant he couldn't come in, and that gave Kiana Hoover his opportunity to do that. And obviously, he's getting to that age now, 23, where he does want regular football. He's been given this loan move in obviously second division of German football. At the start of the season, wasn't in the first team. He wasn't really getting too much appearances. He then started getting game time.
Didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And then obviously we recalled him from his loan to play for us when we were struggling for centre backs, and he played against Everton in the FA Cup and then went back over there. So he's had a bit of a stop and start season. Phillips has, and it's one of them where I do think he's a good centre back. But like we're saying with Shea Ojo and Marco Grujic, maybe they're good, but right now they're not Liverpool Football Club level good. And this is the thing. This is Jurgen Klopp's job. Is when he notices someone with a talent like Stuart, maybe it's his job to nurture him so he is good enough for the Liverpool squad, or whether he decides, oh, actually he's not good enough, move on. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Stuart. But I think he's of an age now where he'll probably be moved on. So let's move on now to Harry Wilson. Obviously, he's a player that we've probably watched more this season than the others. He's a lad who everyone was looking forward to seeing at the start of the season. There was questions of whether he was going to be obviously in and around the Liverpool squad.
Yeah, of course.
Or, of course, whether he'd go out on loan to another Premier League club. He went out on loan to Bournemouth. He's got 6 goals in 23 games so far. He's been one of their stars of the season for a struggling side who are battling relegation and who have had a lot of injuries, Jane. What have you made of him so far?
I've been impressed the way he has, been pressing and the way he's winning the ball back. I think 0.9 tackles per 90 in the league shows that he is always on the front foot. He's always looking to sort of press the opposition fullback or even go through the middle and look to hassle the centre backs too. Like, we want to see that from a Liverpool player, don't you? I think that's sort of been instilled in with him over the years being at Liverpool. But, he's only got 1 dribble per 90, so it shows that, he's winning the ball back. But when he's getting it, he's not really doing too much with it. He's either losing it again straight away or playing the simple pass. Where we want to see our wingers just bomb it down the wing, don't you?
I think that's the thing with Harry Wilson. I think he's a good player.
Yeah.
But there's a lot missing from his game.
Yeah.
I see him as a player that's perfectly suited to a bottom half Premier League club. There's so much missing for him to be at a level of Harvey Elliott, let alone Mohamed Salah. I think Harvey Elliott has more to his game than Harry Wilson. And listen, I'm not saying that 16-year-old Harvey Elliott is better than Harry Wilson. I just think he's got more tricks under his sleeve, and more to his game.
A better out and out winger, as
Yeah.
opposed to a better player. He's probably a better direct winger, which is what we're after.
Exactly. I see Harry Wilson. I've said this several times before, James. You're probably bored of hearing it, but I see him more of as a highlight reel player. You know, he'll come out with something brilliant here and there, but his all-round game is something that obviously needs a lot of improvements. And look, this is a young lad. I'm not slating him. I'm not criticising him. He's a decent player, and for his first season in the Premier League, it's not too shabby. But I just think for him to fit in this Liverpool squad right now, he's probably not the man. And I think at this point in time, towards the end of the season, or whether this is the end of the season, I think he's a player that we'll be looking to offload now, because we'll probably get the most money we could for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, because you can see the talent, like you said, and he has got that flashiness, but he's not got enough of it, and he's not good enough, to stay on the wing. He's not good enough to stay in midfield. He's one of those players that you're constantly using to plug gaps in your team. He's never going to cement sort of, one spot in the lineup, because he isn't a specialist. And I know that's, it's sad to say, because he is clearly a talented lad and he's gave us all to play for the club. But, when you look at most of his goals looking for set pieces too, they've not come from open play, which is what you'd expect from a Liverpool winger.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel bad saying that he's probably not going to make it, but he will have a good career in the Premier League or even abroad, but just probably not in Liverpool.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, James. Another player who, before the start of the season, we looked at in depth was Ryan Brewster. He's a player that obviously we thought was going to fill the void of Daniel Sturridge leaving. It was always going to be difficult for him, a young lad, just come back from a long-term injury. Obviously, slated before he even kicked a ball this season for his stunts, going into the barbers with a Champions League medal around his neck. But at the end of the day, I think he and we spoke about this again before, but I think he had a difficult life at Liverpool at the start of the season. Obviously, he didn't really get much game time because he was in and out of the under-23s. He was just travelling with the matchday squad and not kicking a ball, really. So I think him going out alone was important. He's shown positive signs at Swansea, but I think next season he needs a full season loan. We'll just get his stats up now. He's got 4 goals in 11 games for Swansea, which isn't a bad return at all, really. Swansea have again been hit and miss in terms of form, and obviously they have some big players in the Championship on some big money. What do you make of Ryan Brewster? Obviously, we've spoken before about what he was like at Liverpool. What do you make of how he's been at Swansea, and what do you think going forward Ryan Brewster needs, A, to improve his game, and B, in terms of next season, what do you think is best for him?
I think the best thing for him being at Swansea that he can play his game and he's not having to play the way Liverpool wanted him to play, which he's not a false nine. He's a proper forward who's going to be on the front foot, looking to make those runs off the centre-back shoulder. He's not going to be dropping into sort of the half space and looking to receive and then lay it off. And he's not that. And Daniel Sturridge wasn't the same sort of player either, was he?
You've seen from his goals at Swansea, he's a striker, isn't he? He's a typical striker. Yeah, exactly. And I think he's one of them players where, as you say, he's got the ability, but when you want to mould him into a certain style for our first team, it's not going to work like that. Listen, there's some different ideas, and the whole point of football is to have different ideas, and obviously having Ryan Brewster there would be a different option from the bench. But for a player that's trying to make his career and trying to earn his way into that first team, it's always going to be difficult. And as we say, when he did get his chance this season against the likes of Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, he didn't shine. He didn't stand out like you'd see Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones. And listen, he's a young lad. He's coming back from a long-term injury. There will be opportunities. We've seen in the youth league tons of times, James, where he has shone. I just believe he needs more regular game time in the Championship, and that's why I favour him going on a loan next season.
He needs consistent minutes all year, doesn't he? Under a certain coaching philosophy that, he's not being drafted in to sort of try and rescue the season or have that put on him. He needs to have a pre-season with the team. Ideally, get the loan, as early as possible in the summer. If, anything happens in the summer, if we have transfers, he needs to go as soon as, I think, and get moulded into that team and sort of learn how they play so that he can then get the best out of himself, because he's not going to progress staying at Liverpool at the moment because he isn't, as we were saying about Leighton Stewart, he's not sort of that defensive striker, is he, who's going to hold up the ball. He is a goal scorer. If you let him play that way, he's going to score goals.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, James. I think he's a player that will benefit from a loan move next season, and he needs that time. He needs that confidence, like Curtis Jones has got this season from getting a bit more regular game time, from having the confidence instilled on him when he was given that armband at the start of the season. And I think if you tell Bruce at the start of the season, you go and play there, a high-end Championship club that want promotion this season, go and do your thing, Rian. And I think he absolutely will. And I do feel weird saying it, because obviously we were thinking it before the start of this season, but I think next year is the year that people start to see what Rian Brewster is really going to bring to the table, whether he's going to be the quality player that we thought he would be at the start of the season, or whether he's just going to, be another one of the youth talents that end up like Dominic Solanke and failing to impress. But yeah, let's talk about a couple of players now that obviously went on loan but have struggled due to injury. First, we'll talk about Ben Woodburn. We spoke about him a few times this season, James, but I feel sorry for the lad. Obviously, he became Liverpool's youngest ever goal scorer in the Cup against Leeds a few years ago. And Trent Alexander-Arnold played that game, and many people at the end of the game were looking at Ben Woodburn rather than Trent Alexander-Arnold. Since then, the whole world's perception on the two lads has completely changed. Trent Alexander-Arnold is the best player in his position in the world, and I don't think many people will agree with me on that now. I've said that the whole season, but I think at this point in time, nobody argues with me. You'll get the odd few that, he's not defensive, all that bollocks, but for me, he is the best player, the best right back in the world. Whereas Ben Woodburn, obviously in and out of injury at Oxford. I felt sorry for him with the timing of the injury as well, because he was just starting to get goals and assists on a regular basis for Oxford. And League One is a difficult league. Liam will tell you that. We'll get him on a video later in the week, and he will tell you how difficult League One is. You have to be physical, and I can't help but thinking that is one of the reasons Woodburn was sent there, to work on his physicality and work on that. But for me, obviously, he gets that injury. He's been out for a long spell. He's just starting to come back in, just getting more minutes. And then, obviously, this pandemic happens, and it might favour him in a way, because obviously he'll be absolutely fully fit and ready to go if the season is to continue. But I had a notification before saying that Step 5 and 6 football in England will, obviously, the season will be voided and they'll start again next year. Obviously, that's not in the Football League pyramid, so that is why. And hopefully, conference and above do not follow that whole thing. But obviously, it's a difficult situation, right? So we don't know. But as I'm saying with Ben Woodburn, it might favour him if he's to come back fully ready, fully fighting fit, and we might start to see goals and assists again. But either way, James, another loan move next season.
I think he needs another loan move because he still hasn't I don't know if he's found his position yet. I don't know if he's an attacking midfielder or if he's a winger or even if he's a striker at the moment, because he's played all those positions, hasn't he, over the years?
He knows himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always a bad thing, but then as we were saying with Harry Wilson, it can go against you as well. He just needs to make sure he's good enough in those positions, because he's not really quick enough to be a winger, in my opinion. But then he has that technical ability where he probably can play just behind the striker too. So anyway, if he keeps just improving his game all around, I think it'll naturally come to him, because he is, you don't break into the Liverpool team at such a young age and get, I think, the youngest ever goal scorer.
Yeah.
Youngest goal scorer, for no reason, do you? So he has got talent and he does play semi-consistently for his national team too. So, you know, he's clearly got.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I think for me, obviously, Ben Woodburn as well, there's more pressure on him because he plays consistently for his national side and it's Wales, you know. It's not like the likes of Macedonia or other small European teams. It's Wales, and obviously with him playing in Britain and him playing for Liverpool, there was a lot of expectation on this young lad's shoulders before he's made many appearances in for his club in club football. He's playing regularly for his international side, and you don't see that very often. But with Ben Woodburn, obviously you have, and you look at Neco Williams, he's not near well, he's starting to get near that Welsh first.
He probably would have been in this friendly team, wouldn't he? You know, if football state.
I think Neco Williams has probably played more games for our first team this season than Ben Woodburn ever has in a season for Liverpool. It'll be interesting to have a look at that actually. But yeah, I think for me, there's no doubting, like you said, technical ability. Technically, he is a good player.
Yeah.
He's nowhere near the standard of Liverpool. Obviously, back when he was getting game time for Liverpool, he was kind of sort of around the standard we were at the time. But we've come leaps and bounds since then, and we've sort of left players like him behind. And now, as you say, I think maybe he was looking this season League One loan, next season moving up to the Championship, sort of following a Herbie Kane sort of thing, who we'll talk about in a minute. Sort of following that direction, and then seeing where to go from there. But obviously, with what's happened this season, who knows what Championship clubs, if any, him in the summer? What will he end up doing? Will it be League One again? Will there be a couple of Championship clubs who like what they saw when he was playing? We'll soon see. So we'll move on to Herbie Kane now. Obviously, with us until January, he gets that move to Hull, which we thought since the start of the season that he'd get a loan move. And then he's playing a couple of games. I believe he played against Chelsea in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then he picks up an injury 2 or 3 games into his season, and it's just a nightmare for a young lad. Finally gets a loan move that he's wanted since the start of the season. He gets it in January, and he picks up an injury that lays him out till the start of next season, James.
Yeah, he's one of these players, though, that we talk about these players who might benefit from this, postponed football. He definitely will, because he'll probably be fighting fit by the time that football does resume. So he'll be able to still get those minutes and not have to go into next season with, I think 3 senior appearances under his belt. He will be able to, put himself further in the shop window and not say, oh, well, I missed out on football because I was injured. He'll be able to get about 7 games.
Absolutely. He's another player like Ryan Brewster. I think either he'll be loaned permanently to a Championship side next season or we'll cash in on him. We had that excellent season at Doncaster. He's shown at times in the under-23s this season his quality. He scored a brilliant goal in the last minute in the Merseyside derby. And he's a very good player. His passing range is superb. As I say, for Doncaster last season, he was outstanding. He got in the League One team of the season. And I think he was hoping to show similar stuff against for Hull. I think when he played for us against Aston Villa, he tried too hard. And that was his issue. I think he saw that was his opportunity and just put too much effort in. Tried to make it the Herbie Kane show rather than, working for the team and doing the stuff that puts you in the shop window because you're a team man, not just a solo star. I think
he's such a mature player, though, isn't he? He does play with a lot of maturity. So I think he saw him as that. I need to be the one to step up in this midfield, but by doing that, he took on too much pressure.
There's a difference, though, isn't there, between shining when you're playing football and good football, like we see with Harvey Elliott in that game, where I think a lot of it was him impressing on his own. He also did a lot of work for the team as well. He was a battler. He passed the ball in at the perfect time. His link up with Keanu Hoover was very good on the right hand side. Whereas Herbie Kane, every time he got the ball, it looked as if he wanted to be the man that made something.
Yeah.
And, he didn't do that at Doncaster. He was a very unselfish player at Doncaster. But it will be interesting, James, if he does end up back at Doncaster. Obviously, Doncaster fighting towards the playoffs in League One. They're a bit off at the minute, but I know League One's a messed up league where they've got sort of games in hand, obviously, because what happened with Berry. So it will be interesting to see what happens. I know he's got a connection with Coppinger, who's obviously a bit of a legend at Doncaster. But yeah, I think he's a player that it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think he has a career at Liverpool ahead of him.
I can't see him playing for us again. I think he's going to be playing somewhere next season outside the Liverpool.
Yeah.
Just whether we cash in now or cash in 12 months' time, really.
Yeah. He may have found it disrespectful as well that obviously he's been captain before, goes out on loan, doesn't get the armband when he comes back. I don't think you can. I don't think you can pick and choose it. 23
level. Doesn't mean too much at youth level, really. It's just whoever's available gets the armband.
Exactly. And
I think you'll have leaders in the team regardless of whether you're captain or not, like Dixon Bonner.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously, finally, I want to talk about Ovi Ajaria.
Yeah.
It's not really a loan move. He's going permanently next season, but he definitely prefers life down south, doesn't he? 3 goals and 3 goals and 4 assists in 32 games. James doesn't look too good on paper, but when you talk to Reading fans, I follow a couple on Twitter. You probably may have heard of Jake Moore. He obviously often says that he's a very good player. We'll get him on at some point actually to talk about Ovi Ajaria and what he brings Reading. But he is one of their shining stars, and Reading for a couple of years now have been a team sort of just above that drop zone in the Championship.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. I think Ovi Ajaria could be a very good Championship player for years to come.
Yeah, definitely, because he's got that technical ability. He's got that sort of power when he carries the ball too. He's hard to push off, isn't he? And I think his stats don't really do him justice because he is, immensely talented. And I think in maybe a slightly better team, he probably would have a few more assists because some of his passing's brilliant.
I think he's a trickster as well. We've seen that we tweeted moments where he's shone when it's not been a goal or assist, but he's just trying classy, tricky things.
It excites the fans, doesn't it? I mean, even if you're having a bad game, you excite the fans. They're going to be more forgiving.
Exactly, and I think he's the player that Reading look to as the man who will step up if they need someone to step up. And whenever they're impressing, it seems to be that Ovi Ajaria is on top form. I know he's in and out of injury as well. I think he was out injured before obviously this pandemic started. But yeah, I think he's going to have a really good future ahead of him. And as I said, he'll be a good player in the Championship. There's also other players out on loan like Danny Atherton, who I know has made a brilliant start out on loan. You've also got the likes of Taiwo Awoniyi, who I don't think will play for Liverpool. He's only played 100 sort of minutes at Mainz, 6 appearances, no appearances, nothing like that. And they all seem to be sub appearances. And obviously we have Liam Miller out on loan at the first half of the season. I don't want to talk about Loris Karius, so
got Reece Williams as well.
Yeah,
having a very good
doing really well.
Their fans seem to really like him from what I've seen on social media because he's bulking up. He had to bulk up, didn't he? He's done that. He's grown as a player, and he seems to be winning everything in the air.
He said that, didn't he? He said himself, we spoke about in a youth show a few weeks ago, that's exactly what he wants to do, and that's exactly what he has been doing. And it's brilliant when you send a player out alone and they're following the instructions and the idea that you want them to follow. Mm-hmm. It makes them more likely to go for as far up as they possibly can in the Football League pyramid. And he's a player that it'll be very interesting to see what happens with him next season as well, whether he comes back and plays for our youth sides, or whether he fancies another loan and whether he learns best from loan moves rather than playing youth football. It's also worth, we might do a show at some point whether any players in the current under-23s and under-18s would benefit from a loan next season. I know that Seth Vandenberg might be one that we look into as whether it's a case to go out on loan or whether he'll benefit more doing that or whether he'll prefer a season longer in the youth system. But that's all for today. We'll be back tomorrow with the youth show. Obviously, thanks again for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Comment what other video ideas we can do. We want to sort of entertain everyone while this pandemic's going on. There's only so much football you can talk with what's going on outside. And remember to stay in your homes and watch us rather than leaving your homes and save lives in doing so. Cheers, James, and cheers everyone for watching, and we will see you soon.